Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Ari, and today we're going to have some more stories about our toxic life. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to my channel, like the video, if you enjoy it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now without further ado, let's go. Today's first story. In this story, a couple married for 12 years faces upheaval after the wife's injury. The husband's promotion leads to late nights and business trips, while the wife seeks relief through massages, unknowingly developing an affair with her masseur. The husband discovers the betrayal, plans a confrontation, and intends to leverage the affair in their divorce proceedings to secure his assets. Now let's get into the story. Me, 39 male, and my wife, 39 female, have been married for 12 years. We met at work, and after developing a solid friendship, we decided to take our relationship further. Once we were dating, we never looked back. Our lives fit together perfectly. She truly felt like the missing puzzle piece in my life. We married, had 2 kids, bought house, and adopted a puppy. She ended up resigning, so she could stay home with the kids afterward. I got a big promotion that more than made up for the loss of her income. With that promotion came late nights at the office and business trips out of town. She and I both thought that my occasional absence from home was worth it in the long run, because we didn't want to be one of the couples that has to hire a nanny to raise our kids. Everything was going great until my wife slipped and fell at a grocery store. Some careless employee didn't put a sign up after they mopped, so she injured herself. The fall was mostly mild, but she was left with some lingering back pain. I did what I could to help her. I didn't mind giving her a back rub when she was sore, and I'd help her whenever possible, as good as I like to think. I am with my hands. Even I have to admit, my massages are nothing compared to a professional's. We ended up searching online for some massage parlors in the area with good reviews. We found one, and she booked her first treatment. I didn't think anything of it. I assumed it would be somewhat like a spa day for her. I thought she would be lying on a table with flute music in the background, while someone rubbed oil into her back. But when she came back, I realized it was something different. She had this glow about her that I'd never seen. She told me about how light she felt and how amazing it was. Later that night, we even had intimate for the first time since she has fallen. Because she wasn't in pain at first, I almost wanted to send the mass use a muffin basket or something for helping her. I paid for a 2-month-long service where she was scheduled to get another massage once a week. I was just happy that she wouldn't be in pain anymore. The next lesson came, and she had the same glow she did when she got home. I asked her about how it was, but she didn't give as many details. She shrugged her shoulders and told me it was about the same. Not gonna lie, I was a little excited, thinking I might get to spend some intimate time with her later that night. When we got in bed, she just rolled right over and went asleep. I didn't let it bother me, and I did the same. This continued for the next 2 massages she had. On top of her not sleeping with me for 3 weeks, she'd been growing distant. She hardly wanted to be in a room alone with me. She didn't want to have our date nights, and it felt like every conversation we had was surface level. I was going to be away on a business trip for a week, so I wanted to do something to try and bring us together before I left. One thing I knew she loved was those massages. I was curious about them myself, so I booked us a couple's massage. Thank you very much. It was a complete surprise. I didn't even tell her we were going on a date when we drove there. My wife was shocked to see who I'd planned. Looking back, the shock was probably anxiety or fear, because I was going to be in the room with her and her lover. But at the time, I trusted her and didn't think she could ever hurt me, so that was the last thing on my mind. The receptionist was friendly with my wife, asking about how her massage had been helping. For the first time, I realized it was a man. That wasn't a red flag right away. I knew that many men worked in the industry, but I was surprised my wife hadn't mentioned that. I know that if the tables were turned and a woman was massaging me once a week, I'd have told her. The masseuse came out a while later to get us and bring us to our room. I'm not an insecure guy, but when I saw him, I was a little paranoid about why my wife hadn't mentioned anything about him. He was very attractive. We walked into the room, and we were getting ready to begin. Another masseuse came in for me, an older woman, and we began. I had never had a professional massage before, so I was pretty into it, but I was trying to pay attention to my wife too. At one point during a massage, I looked over and saw her masseuse centrally running his hands down her back, lingering right above her butt. Red flags were going off as soon as I noticed that. Her towel was lower than it should have been, and she wasn't complaining at all. I couldn't keep myself from wondering if that was how all of the massages went, and if he went even lower when I wasn't there. When everything was done, we went back home. My mom had the kids for the night because I had originally intended on trying to be intimate with my wife, but I was too preoccupied after. I waited for her to go to sleep before I quietly reached for her phone and went to my office to look through it. I found the messages between her and the masseuse. Notably, they were under a fake name of a woman named Emma. My suspicions were confirmed as I read through it. They ended up sleeping together after the second massage, and they continued their affair every time she visited the office. They exchanged some suggestive text messages and pictures. What hurt the most was seeing how easily she was able to pretend like I didn't even exist. There wasn't a single mention of guilt or remorse in any of the messages. I sent myself some screenshots of the messages and started packing my things to leave for my business trip. I would have a week to figure out what I was going to do from there. I left in the morning and pretended like everything was fine. While I was away, I thought about all of my options. I refused to stay with someone who cheated on me. I firmly believe that there is no changing a person like that. Divorce was my only option. With the screenshots I grabbed from my wife's phone, I could prove that she had violated our prenuptial agreement. So I knew I would pretty much get everything in the divorce. After some thinking, I decided the best thing for me to do would be to really hand it up and catch her in the act. I knew that would embarrass her, and that would give me the grounds to get the masses fired. From what I read in their messages, they had been having intimate in the room. She was supposed to be getting her massages. When I got back, the first day that my wife was scheduled to go in for her treatment, I made my way over. I waved at the receptionist as I casually walked by her. She tried to stop me, but I ignored her. I knew where my wife was and what I was doing. She followed me on the way there, yelling for me to go back to the lobby since the messages are private. I opened the door with the receptionist right behind me and saw my wife on the table with the masseuse on top of her. The receptionist audibly gasped and rushed back to the front desk. My wife was begging me not to cause a scene. None of it was a surprise to me, so I didn't. I told her right there that we would be getting a divorce, and she pleaded with me to reconsider and think about the kids. I contacted the business owner of the massage parlor and told him about what happened. The masseuse was fired on the spot for sleeping with a client on the property. I called all of the other local places and told them about what happened, so they wouldn't hire him either. My soon-to-be ex-wife and I are beginning our divorce proceedings soon. She thinks she'll be awarded the house, cars, and spousal support from me, but she has a surprise in store. I never told her that I knew about the affair before I caught them. I honestly can't wait to see the look on her face when she realizes it. Today's second story. In this story, Opie reflects on his shattered marriage due to his wife's infidelity, despite their seemingly happy life with their daughter. He discovers the affair through his daughter's innocent observation and gathers evidence before confronting his wife. He exposes the affair to the other woman, leading to the breakup of both extramarital relationships. He gains custody of their daughter and finds happiness with his new girlfriend, who also experienced betrayal. Now let's get into the story. Before my ex-wife destroyed my life with her infidelity, we were so happy together, and I never believed a day would come where I would have to share this story. When I first met Mariah, I instantly knew she was the woman I had been looking for. I had been single for almost 2 years and was still getting over the pain of my ex-girlfriend dumping me for another woman. Trust me, this type of pain hits differently. I won't say our marriage was too different from our dating years. The only difference was moving in together and raising a daughter together. The first few months of our marriage were not as blissful as most people described. I had to do many things like cleaning, grocery shopping, doing the dishes, laundry, and even tolerating her annoying mood swings because of her pregnancy. And although I enjoyed being a father and a husband, it was very stressful. Our daughter, Daisy, grew up pretty fast, and in a twinkle of an eye, She was 4 already. I don't believe in magic, but it felt like magic because everything happened so fast, and I couldn't even remember how she moved from crying all night to picking the color of her nail polish. Meanwhile, Mariah and I still lived happily with each other, and we were both fantastic parents to Daisy. As Daisy got older, she spent most of her time with Mariah, and I only got to spend time with her on my days off. On one of those days, I took Daisy to the park to play with our dog and do whatever she wanted. So after playing, she came back to take a pack of juice, and just beside us, 2 couples were making out and almost kissing their tongues out. I wasn't even paying attention to the couple, and my eyes were fixed on my phone screen. So when Daisy started giggling, I had to look up and see what was making her laugh. When I asked her why she was laughing, she whispered that the 2 couples looked like Mummy and her boyfriend, which made me curious. I pressed to know what she was talking about, and after explaining everything in her childish way, I knew something was not right. Everything Daisy did was wrong. Daisy told me insinuated that Maria had been seeing someone else, and they made out even in Daisy's presence. Another thing was the man Daisy described was someone I knew. He was also close to my wife and visited our house a lot. I asked Daisy multiple times if she was sure what she said, and she said I could even ask her mother myself. So to avoid blowing up my discovery, I told Daisy not to tell Mariah about our discussion, and she promised not to. Even without getting proof, I changed how I looked at Maria, and she could tell I acted a bit cold toward her. The thing is, I could not believe that Mariah, who looked so innocent, assured me that she loved me and never did anything fishy would cheat on me. It was difficult for me, but I struggled to hold it in and not confront her until I did what I wanted. Days after I found out Maria was having her affair, I set up a dash cam in Maria's car and hid it very well. I wanted to be sure of everything Daisy told me before taking action, and low-key, I hoped Daisy was just making stories up. To my greatest surprise, after Maria drove out of the house with Daisy that weekend, she stopped and picked up her boyfriend, and it was the same man Daisy described. He used to be her landlord before we got married and moved in together, and even though I noticed they were close, I thought they were just friends and nothing more, but to my horror, it was more than that. Immediately, he got into the car, and Maria leaned in to kiss him passionately, and when they were done, he turned to the back seat to playfully scatter Daisy's hair, and they drove off. I was so disappointed that I didn't know what to do next. I felt my whole world crash, and I struggled to believe that Maria was the person in the car. After my minutes of emotional breakdown, it turned to rage, and an idea popped into my head. Still, when Maria came home that evening, I didn't confront her or anything. I simply told her I was going for a walk to clear my head. Meanwhile, I was so sad and heartbroken. To avenge her for cheating on me and breaking my heart, I did some research and found the girlfriend of Ruria's boyfriend. She had met me physically several times, and we barely chatted on Facebook. Without holding back, I told her everything I found out and showed her the footage of Ruria and her fiancé. She was heartbroken because she had been dating her boyfriend for 4 years and was engaged for 1 year, yet he cheated on her. She felt so betrayed and broke off the engagement. After she did, I confronted my wife. At first, she denied having an affair with her boyfriend and called me delusional. But after she watched the footage, she was speechless. I was also brilliant and insisted on a paternity test, and the results showed Daisy was my biological daughter. She tried to beg me and explain that those were just friendly kisses and nothing more, but she must have thought I was stupid. I told her we were divorcing, and I would take full custody of our daughter or expose her videos to her friends and family if she disagreed. At first, she relented, and although it was hard in court because she was a good mother, because of all the evidence I presented to the court, I won child custody for Daisy, and she only got to see Daisy on weekends. I even thought Mariah and her boyfriend would take their relationship to the next level, especially since they had no reason to hide anymore. But they broke up shortly after their secret was exposed. Her parents eventually found out, and they were so disappointed in her. It's been years now, and I know Daisy has been telling her stories of how me and my new girlfriend are taking care of her. As for my new girlfriend, we figured we were all we had after our spouses cheated on us and broke our trust. It sounds petty to date her boyfriend's former girlfriend, but it happened, and we are so happy together. We are not in a rush to get married, and I'm glad she loves and treats Daisy as her child.